This podcast contains an English accent that most of our Irish listeners will find offensive. Also, there may be some colourful language that you're going to find less offensive. Now, over to Ryan and Leon. Enjoy the podcast.
The good thing about poems, I will say, is that they're short. They can be short. So I have lots of... what I do is a lot of surrogate reading by buying. So I'll buy a book... I love bookshops, and then I'll read a lot in there, and then I'll feel like I've got to own this book. So there was a series that I really like called Staying Alive. Did you know?
Yes, I know.
Staying Alive, and there was another one called Still Staying Alive. I can't remember. But those I got into, particularly because they were short. And for me, it does make me, it makes me feel better. It's just as simple as that. Reading a poem just makes me feel better. It calms my nerves if I'm nervous, or makes me happy if I'm sad, or it's just expresses what you can't necessarily express, because frankly I'm not a poet, So
I agree. And sometimes if you know...
I think we learned two things from that Helena Bonham Carter clip. One is she likes poetry, but two, it sounds like Hollywood needs to pay more, because she's going into bookshops and reading the books and then deciding to buy them.
It's like kind of going into the shop and just, having a bite of an apple and going, I don't like that. Just
what is she
leave it.
doing? I know she's a bit of aloof, but that seems to be...
She probably could get away with it because it's Helena Bonham Carter. Like, you're just going to be standing there going, oh my God, is that Helena Bonham Carter? And then she's just not pay for the book that she's read for the last 3 hours.
She's too scared to say anything, I guess.
She might get
you would be too scared to say
anything. She get Tim Burton to bash them or write a really, really scary film about them.
Yeah. But it reminds me of when, do you remember when you were a kid, your mum would take you food shopping and to shut you up at the start, she'd give you like the cola bottles, but you'd eat them on the way round, and then she'd keep the bag to scan the receipt at the end. Yeah,
or a bag of crisps or something, and then you just have loads of like random empty things that you've eaten in the shop.
Yeah.
And then at the sample lady's there, who's giving you them little small choice pieces of sausage or something.
Oh, beautiful, yeah.
The cheese, maybe.
You know what, I've not been to a supermarket recently and seen any sample people.
There's more. We need more sample people.
I agree,
Do you know, it's like a free little snack when you're going to a shop.
Yeah.
It's like a treat. And it's stuff that you wouldn't normally buy. I'm not going to pay fucking €15 for a pair of Galty sausages. No, but I'll eat them.
I'll have a little...
I'll eat them for
free.
Little
go.
Yeah, I'll have a little nibble. Don't know how we got onto that. But
well listen, it's good to see you.
Me too, baby. It's fucking been great.
Are you feeling fresh now? I'm feeling fresh. A couple of days off after EP.
I had to take about 3 days in isolation after EP because my brain was just not there anymore. Social battery was at -1, I'd say.
You're on for the best part of 4 days, aren't you? Really?
Honestly, yeah. And you're surrounded by sound. Like obviously there's the drinking element, but even just like there's always noise. Do you ever, like when I got home after me 6-hour trek getting home because I got
that sounded like a nightmare,
puncture 40 minutes after 2 hours in the car park and 40 minutes into the road getting a puncture. I had to get breakdown assistance because I couldn't get the nut off the car.
Fuck.
One of them because the wheelbase is terrible. Anyway, gone on the side street here. But I was in the shower, right, and I could hear dum 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 dum, and I was like, am I having a psychotic break? And then I was talking to my mom the next day because she was also at it. And she was like, no, same. And I suppose a few people when they went home, because it's like your brain is obviously like still thinks you're there.
Yeah.
It's like the phantom noise of the music in the background. You just, your brain is still doing, like, it's like your eardrums are still like boom, 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 boom. Oof. I thought I was going mental, but no, it's true. It happened to a few people, so it's not just me. Unless we're all mental, probably.
I think we are all probably a bit mental.
They're all related to me, so it probably is it's something in my genes that I don't know.
I had a blast though.
It's good, isn't it?
So much fun. Such a good time. We met so many lovely people and saw so many great performances. We shared a few. We shared our conversations, obviously, in the last show. Hopefully you lot enjoyed it. But there were so many other brilliant people. What we thought we'd do is we're going to dedicate this episode to just other performers that we saw over that weekend and just give you as many bloody brilliant poems as we can.
Yeah.
Back on the poems today.
Yeah, like our back on the poems.
Back on the poems.
Back on the poems. Like if we had have gotten everyone we wanted to, it would have been a 3-hour podcast, and we're not Joe Rogan, so like, you
just wouldn't have listened.
3 hours of poetry is a bit much.
Well, yeah, no, I'd agree.
I
like it and all, but
I do like it. I'd watch 3 hours of poetry, but for everyday people, I don't think 3 hours of poetry is for them. So we're gonna do this episode as kind of a supplementary, you know, best of. There was such
The
a high.
best of.
It's such a high standard. You want to include everyone in the podcast and celebrate them and share their work and stuff like that. So that's what we just thought. A kind of a part two.
A part deux.
A part trois.
And let's start with someone who I caught the end of a set because she was performing just before I was doing my bit on the Saturday, and I'd heard of Tess McKevitt before, and I'd read some of her, I follow her on Instagram, I'd read some of her stuff, but I caught the end of a set and she did this poem right, and I'm not even going to tell you what it was. You didn't see it.
I didn't see it.
You weren't there. But it's a great conversation for me and you to have because you've already mentioned your mother on this show already, and I think we're both Mammies Boys. We've got this blessing and a curse of having mothers that if they want to look at the sun, they don't look up. They look into our arses.
And my ma would tell me, she wouldn't think the sun shines out of my arse. No.
My mother does.
Oh no, she'd tell me if there was, keep your ears clean. Essentially,
yeah.
She was fucking picking stuff out of my hair. She's on the last episode. She was picking stuff out of my hair. So you can have something in your hair there.
But you're very close,
and
I'm
we
very
are
close to mine as well.
Yeah, I think as we got older, when I moved out when I was 20, and me and my mum are very similar, so we're very stubborn people. So when we were living together, you kind of get a bit, I mean, we're very opinionated. We're very big personalities in our house.
Yeah.
But then when I moved out, we just became mates. So my mum and dad are like really, really good mates with me now. So that's why they're at EP and all. We're hanging out.
Oh, yeah, they were. Yeah,
you
know. Was there.
So I think it's a good dynamic to have.
Yeah, my mum and me are better mates.
You watch
Best
telly
mates.
and all.
Watch telly and play Scrabble. I was there in England for a week, and we just you got the friends or whatever. When you they say something, you like turn it into a song, and they start singing with you, kind of thing. Like, should we watch a bit of telly? Shall we watch a bit of telly? And she'll go, I think we'll watch a bit of telly.
So I could see,
nice,
I could see you and your ma on Gogglebox, watching telly together, watching fucking Love Island, singing. That'd be unreal.
But I think the poem I'm going to share with you, when you sometimes you'll read a poem and it's a new idea, and it happens. Not rarely, but it's like when it's brand new, fresh, like, oh my God, I never even saw it that way. I do think it is quite rare when that happens. Like, poetry explains things that we can't explain. But brand new ideas that you never even had an iota of are quite rare, I think.
It's a good way to get an understanding of something if it's new. You write a poem, because you're trying to capture the essence of whatever you're writing. So you get a better understanding about a particular moment or experience, or just something random that you're trying to,
Well, this did this to me. So Tess finished her set with a poem that I think we're going to really enjoy and have a very good conversation about. Because
you're excited, aren't you?
I am excited. No, I just loved hearing. I loved the poem. Yeah. The poem that I'm going to share with you, mate. It's by Tess McKevitt, and it's called "Fear and Lusting."
Ooh.
I have been single for some years now, through a great fault of my own. I have this fervent fear, you see, the male might take me home. And once I'm home to his abode, his lust will fall apart, for I am not his mummy's kind, she cannot see my heart. I am woman, inside out, I sway my hips and pose and pout. I have opinions strong and clear. For these, I'll scream aloud and swear. I drive my car, like in the movies, to the tune of Lou Reed's Street Hassle. I do not trade my mint for bonds. Life's chaos is my castle. My lips are glossed and coloured rouge, and my nails are often matching. I wear my dresses loose and free, and my stockings cause distraction. I have never been to Sunday church. I pride myself on lust. I hereby stand guilty of 2 sins. Disparage me if you must. And still I will sail my ship of dreams until I lust another, a male who lives his life supreme, not expecting of his mother.
That was Fear and Lusting by the wonderful Tess McKevitt.
We shared a smile there, didn't we?
Oh man, that's fucking cool. I was just saying there, like, I've never heard that before.
No, I didn't think you had.
Do you know what? It carries the sass of Maya Angelou. You know, the I'm a woman phenomenally.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of. It's like the badass bitch strutting her stuff. You know, that's deadly. It's a very cool.
And it made me. I was watching it and going, you know what? I could see my younger self thinking that I knew the kind of woman that I wanted to date. Like I'm talking like 20, whatever. Like, I mean, your early years when you first start kind of putting together what you like of a partner, and then really looking at it and going, you know what? Yeah, I think I wanted that, but really what I wanted was someone exactly like my mum. Not challenging, complete cheerleader, no fear, nothing edgy, just nice chats. And I think that kind of weird kind of Mammies Boy closeness definitely feeds into your young relationships when you're younger, until you work out, hang on, they're not going to be as, you know what I mean? It's not the same. You have to work it out, though, I think.
One of my mates, when he moved out, he was 25 and he didn't know how to work a washing machine. His ma used to make him his lunch to go to work. He was 25.
Fuck
she was
me.
still making his lunch to go to work and doing his washing. And he was like, just staring at the washing machine going, I don't know how to turn it on.
How's a lass got a chance with that?
So like, he's just helpless. He's just like, can't do the washing. He's like, and then you're like, just like this helpless fish out of water where you're like, I just don't know what to do. Like, I've never, you know, you have someone who does it for you all the time. You just don't fucking, you're not independent, like, you know. So,
do you want to hear? I've got Tess to send us a little voice note.
Oh, deadly.
Of what she was thinking when she was writing it and how it's been kind of getting out of her system. So she sent us this. So I'll share that with you.
Okay, Fear and Lusting. So I wrote this poem after dating a short line of Mammies Boys and after observing a long line of them from a back seat. So those who were bold and courageous on the outside, but numb and aloof on the inside of their mammy's nest. So it's about being brave enough to decipher and cipher out those giants of soul from the lead and said mole. Now that said, Mammy's Boys are king when it's mastered right.
Cheers for that, Tess, and thanks so much for not only giving it us to share, but writing it in the first place.
And putting us in our place. I'm going to go home and do my washing now. Do the dishes, put the bins out, you know, being an independent man.
We try.
Yeah. We try our best, but not successful sometimes. But look, as I said, we're stumbling our way through life, figuring it out as we go.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to share another artist that initially the first time I ever saw her perform poetry, I thought she was a musician. So I assumed, like, you know, she just did music, write songs and sings and stuff like that. But I was at the Leinster Slam last year, and I was just like, oh, she does poetry as well. And she did this phenomenal piece about Alice in Wonderland, kind of through the looking glass kind of style. So I contacted Lizzy Byrne, Lizzy in the lymph nodes, Lizzy Byrne in the lymph nodes, where you can find her music. But she does poems as well. And I asked her, just, you know, she was performing at a EP.
She was just before me.
Yeah.
And she was incredible.
She's unreal.
Oh, so unreal. Like, just made everyone feel really good about themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
like really, really good poetry. And obviously, like to write, like, songwriting is hard. You obviously have to take into consideration like the structure of it and then the music. But like her poetry is just as good. And like obviously there's a musicality to the poems as well and stuff like that. So I asked her to send us on a poem, and funnily we're doing EP, and this poem is called The Festival of Life by Lizzy Byrne. Welcome to the Festival of Life. To your right, you'll find everything you want, and to your left, everything you don't. Simple, right? Wrong. That's not how it works. If it works when it works, why not try working your way through it? We have a therapy tent, complete with talks, meditations, and medication should you wish. Anybody can avail, and they're more than happy to prescribe a prescription of unknown vibes. Everybody's different, see? You're unique, but you'll most likely get the same as that person who was in last week. The sessions usually go on a lifetime, and if I'm being honest, I've seen some people come out worse, but not you. You need this. You've been cursed with hammer fist and chisel tongue. I can see by you this will be of benefit. See, the festival of life is governed by light and darkness, body clock and temperature. It comes with a screw and ends with a breath. You should really try your best to see the performances, be the performances, get out there, dance, you don't want to be stuck in the campsite for the whole festival, do you? Regretting the friends who are just anxiety addicts, quelling the panic with a can and a Xanax. Because that's how they manage. Breathe. Live a little. Nothing much happens when you're intense all the time. Open the zipper. Lifeline is playing every morning bright and early. Go watch them. They do bird song and heartbeat, and even when the sun is gone they play on because they know someone needs to hear them see. Now nighttime gets a bit more crazy in the Festival of Life. We have raves and full moons. The lunatics all come out too, and there's drinks and smoking and cocaine and fucking, and there's a lot of hate, but don't worry. It's great once you learn how to navigate through it. Your state of mind will define your tribe, and if you don't find yourself inspired by their vibe, then let me be the first to tell you. It is not a tribe you have there. It is a cage. Be aware of your surroundings, for I have often found the most beautiful things in life to be dragged onto stage, stuck to someone's shoes. So if you are lavender, dear, be forgiven to whoever crushed you, and let your scent repent the most troubled minds you might find in the morning, shaken and grey with harsh truths. Don't forget to laugh off them. The Festival of Life will multiply any emotion by itself, so make sure you begin each morning with a smile. Stay a while and bask in the sun or take a walk in the rain. Both hold beauty. There is forestry and beaches and seasons, and the most important headline act you'll ever see: unconditional love. They'll play their hit entitled The Sun on Your Back, and will most likely throw back to the rain on your night in, or your lover's chest, or the first time your pet fell asleep on your lap. They sell lust on tap, and there is no cap on how much you can drink. A word of warning though: don't stick around for the galaxies of overthinkers that plays afterwards. Yeah, they have beautiful lyrics, but their songs are long and complex. But I've heard if you listen to them for too long, you'll end up texting an old flame, for the game is same but different. The Festival of Life has the capacity to be magnificent if you are an active participant. However, if you decide to just go with the flow, then there's no way of knowing how it might go. So wear that outfit that screams your name, and don't be ashamed to be yourself. If you need help, then ask, and employ yourself with the task of finding meaning in everything and leaning into uncertainty. Enjoy yourself, and most importantly, have fun.
That was Lizzy Byrne with The Festival of Life.
It's good, isn't it?
Like I was saying to you, like just a gorgeous, positive TED talk of a spoken word piece.
Yeah, it's a great concept as well. You know, to have like the galaxy of overthinkers and stuff like that. Like there's the negative, there's the positive and the negatives. It's not just like this is all great, but it's like, you know, it makes a complete picture of what the festival or what life is.
Yeah.
But you know, it's like with our structure, it's effortless of how she rhymes words. Like it's not structured in a way that word has to rhyme with that one. It's almost like it just free flows out, and you're reading it. You know, you can hear, okay, they do rhyme, but it's done in a very easy way. You know, it's not like
there was a line there which was like, you can't live in tents all the time.
Yeah.
And then I smiled to myself. I was like, yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Because like there's that double meaning of like, obviously it's double meaning, but like it's just, yeah, like you said, it just puts a smile on your face the way she uses words, but also like you said, it's the messaging of, you know, it's a galaxy of opportunity and options and ways to live, and the importance of like living life successfully is probably the first is to nail her message down, which is this could go any way.
Yeah.
Because there's so many ways that you could choose it to go. So have that in your back pocket before you step. And
the most important thing at the end is like, just have fun, enjoy yourself. It's there to be.
Made me think of a conversation I had yesterday. Actually, I was out with the missus and one of her friends who had a kid when she was younger. When you hang out with people who have children when they're younger, you end up in that conversation of like, should I have done it differently? And we were going, well, we could have done it differently. But then that's that binary conversation that like that's the problem, because it's not binary, because like it could have gone a billion different ways, and it's not the binary choice of whether or not our kids are not early. It's like, what choices did you make? And there's a billion ways and 6 billion people in the world who all have a different life.
It's like even
It's like it's not about the choices you make. It's about like how you explored life's opportunity.
I was listening to an interview by Emma Doran, the comedian, today. this morning.
Love her.
Yeah.
Saw her at EP
Sean
actually.
Brendan O'Connor, she was. So
She?
she was chatting about how she started doing comedy when she was on maternity leave. She'd never done comedy before. And she was like, I had this baby, and I think it was her second child. So she'd like already been a mom. I think she had a child young, and then she also looks about 22 and she's in her 40s.
She looks great.
It doesn't fucking make sense. But
she's so funny. All that the comedies that she does, all the domestic stuff.
Yeah.
She was laughing at. She was making a joke at EP about like the cleaning side of like the mental clean that you do.
Yeah.
She's just so funny.
But she was just saying, she was like, I was doing I was on maternity leave and I went to an open mic. And she said she loved about comedy is you don't need to have credentials to be a comic. You just get up and do an open mic. And it's the same with poetry, with performance poetry and spoken word especially. You know, you don't have to have any credentials. You can just go do an open mic and you know, do your thing, and people aren't going to question you because you don't have a fucking degree. So she said that she was gigging so much that her husband, she didn't tell anybody. Her husband thought that she was having an affair. He's like, where the fuck are you going all these nights? And she's like, oh man, I'm actually doing comedy.
That's like that poem Phil Lynch does, which is, my wife thinks I'm at a poetry gig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
We'll share that one day.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And a great segue, because like the first time I met the next person we're going to share poetry of was at the Circle Sessions.
Yeah.
Which is upstairs at the International Bar. If you know, you know. If you don't know, it's every Monday.
Yeah.
From 7 o'clock, and it's like 3 hours. It's like a variety open mic.
It's like a
like
vaudeville
everything
show.
goes.
Yeah.
And it's been a huge part of my, not just creative life, but also just the most fun I've had living in Ireland has been around the open mic scene. And it started at the Circle.
Yeah, I always go to the Circle Sessions when I'm trying out a new poem because the crowd are always so lovely.
Listening crowd.
You feel like, you know, and like there's people that have only just done it for the first time. Could be their first song, could be their first poem they've read out. And the crowd's so lovely that you're like, I can try here and I have made fuck ups on the stage
same,
here. I've
yeah.
forgotten poems or I've done whatever. And you're like, but it's grand because there's no pressure here, you know, and it's a great place to try out new material and, you know, old material, whatever it is you're doing. So
yeah,
good spot.
and the first time I went, Caoimhe Weakliam was there doing poetry. I think she was doing the poetry, a poem about the bus journey that she does that was brilliant. But she has a level of depth and kind of insight that I've always said to her, like, that is so far beyond what her life experience would suggest so far. She's very young, but probably my favourite person to watch poetry of, because I don't really get a chance to see her much these days. And it's great to see her, like, you know, her name was in the Irish Times not that long ago. Like, people are...
It was last year's EP.
Yeah, was it last year's EP?
And her tent was full when she was performing.
Incredible.
Yeah,
it's great to see her success and she's very creative actually. Like she doesn't do things because she feels like she isn't outside looking in. I don't know which like, but it doesn't like feel that she puts stuff out because she has to. She's she seems to make like longer decisions around what she wants to share and then writes more substantial.
And she's recently
pieces,
joined the Poetry Killing. She's the newest member.
Yeah, of course she did. Yeah,
busy. Yeah.
So she sent us this poem. Look forward to sharing this with you actually. So this is a poem from Caoimhe Weakliam, and the poem is called Storm. I first met God at the age of 3, when the synapses inside this head, like roots of a tree, did wind and sink to strike the right pitch of biological cacophony, so I could perceive and grasp some given meaning from the figure on the wall I was so encouraged to meet. God. God was stringent strictness and unquestioning belief, bedtime stories, breakfast table warnings. Of all that was unnatural, there was apparently a salvation greater than this green and breathing physical space, deviance from which would be the thief of my place there. But the synapses, as they grew, grounded curious, careful roots, did look around to all these nations that on supposed godly truths were stacked, not through curvature of branches, earth's cyclical clay magic, but precision tactics, Power imbalances rife through each knife-edged brick or steel-binded barrier. I'd hear them cite the name of this cloud-living character as they bulldoze living land, fading forests of our ancestors. The synapses of this earth I watched them sever, so into the dirt they could burn borders, bury the waste of sacred resources, pit us against the soil and each other. God-given orders became the man-made storm to which I was tethered, would shout from the heavens that if you're human, you are better than the ground from which we sprouted, flora that feeds the ever-hungry mouths of beings who could not breathe for lack of the simple generosity of trees. I knew this at the age of 3, when my fingers felt the robust, crumbling brown of bark on a trunk, how its grounded presence towered without judgment or conviction. It had branching arms just like my own, flowered families of leaves in their thousands. They danced the heart-beating breeze, praised the rain that gifted them green, and greet the grateful melody of starling or sparrow as the mass of moss cushioned my soles. I felt the currents through the synapses beneath my feet unfold, knew in some part of these humanly bones that I come from these roots the undergrowth so intimately holds. It felt holy, and I feel I know why people talk about sadness as having the wind knocked out of them, sunk to rock bottom. When the forests feel foreign, they're so few, the movement and colourful hue of wilderness. Waning, we are grieving for a God we never knew, when before our daily gaze is the one worth saving. So it is engraved in our clay skin and senses to feel the wind knocked from our earthly vessel's rocks. At the bottom of this fall we are descending, and then it comes, the storm. Perhaps nature's most intelligent metaphor. When deceived into believing that this earth is yours, the wind, she will arise with ease, rattle solid structures which encase our daily greed. In a moment, the endless littered lanes and laybys wiped clean, as she precipitously weeps, and with a swift brush of her rumble, loud godly thundering. I hope it humbles you. When you attempt to grace the grasses of your regular park path, but the wind, it roars like circadian drum, water torn from the heavens, blends the painted sky with frackings of grey and chiselled lightning, symbolically whistling wisdom as simply when it takes hold, your title won't battle a storm, your computer's redundant, and in a bluster so rough it uproots that stoic stable tree, you will finally see its synapses, brown, broken and bereaved, castrated across the dirt where once stood my safe feet, reflecting the river, running veins of a god mistreated and misbelieved. So I will not endeavour to weather the storm, but humbly accept that I am weather at my core. How naive to grace the grasses, jaunt the fields of oak, hazel, ash, cedar, and believe I am any more than she, nature's rudder of the earth, her milk, honey, bees, bracken, fern, vascular tissues of godly, gorgeous green. In her shrubbery you may enshrine me. Let my skin bask in the basin of mud, dirt and awaken things, where I will return one day, no matter what greets my soul. The other side of this synaptic state, I was christened to be clay, to live and love and die into daisies in May. And in the eye of a storm, perhaps, the simple wisdom relay.
That was Storm by Caoimhe Weakliam.
Yeah,
Feel like
wow.
I've been in a fucking storm.
Yeah.
Listen to that. That was.
God.
It's a. I was just saying that like Caoimhe's writing is so dense, as in like that they're very complex concepts she's writing about, but it all makes sense. But you have to like digest it for a moment and go, oh, everything she's saying is true. But it's just like it's so. Like even just some of the words and like frackings of grey in the sky and all like it's just and then like the whole concept of like nature and God. And I was only saying to yourself there that like Irish people worship the landscape because we were like an agricultural kind of hunt, you know, and we like pagan gods were like gods of the landscape. So before the Catholic Church came in, we used to like hills and rivers, and it was like kind of like an animal. It's
it
called
can't just be a hill.
animatism, isn't it? I think it's called, where it's like we had like it's like what Native Americans used to do. They like spirits were in trees and in rivers and in lakes, and that's what Irish people used to do
worship. Yeah.
Before
You characterise all of the
personified,
natural,
yeah. So we used to do that, like worshipping the landscape before the church came in. So like, even when you're thinking, you're like that poem is like, okay, where's she going with the now she's tying nature into it? But it's true. It just takes you a moment to, you know, realise what she's talking about. But she's dead right. Like it's brilliant.
And especially when she's talking about like your titles and your computers aren't going to save you against the force of the reality of nature.
And then she's like an element of the storm as well. And, you know, embody the storm. Don't try, you know,
weather it.
Yeah,
you're in it.
Don't fight the tide.
It's you.
Yeah. As I
what
said,
a piece. What
it's
a
like
piece.
fucking jazz. It's like listening to jazz of poetry. Like, you know, you're like, takes you a moment. You have to be focused. That's say when I was listening to you there, I had to have my eyes closed because I had to focus. Otherwise, your brain just goes somewhere else
in the sky.
Yeah, you know, like listen to. Yeah, it's very good.
If you get a chance to see her, do.
Yeah. Prepare yourself though. It's dense, but it's very, very good. It's very, very well written. You know, it's very complex.
I don't mind telling you this. When I did a book launch, maybe a year and a half ago,
I was there.
And you were, and Caoimhe was there, and I was giving these like goodie bags out to people that joined in a game of the chase. Yeah. You were there. You obviously there. I'm telling everybody.
Telling the global audience.
And in the goodie bag of anybody that joined. So the concept was if a poet's meant to know stuff, so they took on an audience member in the game of the chase.
There was a raffle, wasn't there?
Yeah, and a raffle, and whoever won the contest would get the goodie bag, and the goodie bag included the can of Guinness.
Yeah.
And didn't Caoimhe crack one open?
I look over and she's just pouring into our pint.
It's meant to be symbolic. Caoimhe, stop drinking the Guinness. We're going to get kicked out.
We're in a pub. Like, you can't fucking... She just there. Okay.
I just love that. That just sums her up.
Yeah.
Brilliant. What a woman. Thanks, Caoimhe, for sending that in.
So I've been... My next poet is a very special poet, dear to me heart. She's only on the scene a while. She's not on it very long. And Dave Hines told me a story about Dave Hines from EP The Word Stage, and we had him on the podcast last week. He told me a story. He runs the in Kilcock, the library gigs.
Yeah.
And he says this girl showed up and listened, and then come up and goes, I love poetry and stuff like that. I think next time I'm going to write a poem. Comes back with this fucking banger of a poem. I think it was one with the magpies. And reads this poem out, and they're like, what the fuck is this? And she's like, I think I'm going to write another poem. Goes off, writes another one, which is another banger of a poem. And they're like, she needs to keep writing poems.
Yeah.
And it was Anna Doran.
Yeah.
And it was a great pleasure last year at the All-Ireland, because I was the former All-Ireland from 2022, and then 2023 happened. It's symbolic where you get this trophy. It's like a handcrafted wooden trophy that was made by someone, and each winner passes the trophy to the next one. And I really wanted her to fucking win because she's brilliant.
Yeah,
she deserved it. And then I got to pass the trophy over to her. But then afterwards, because there was like, Anna's very powerful on stage, but off stage she can be a bit shy.
Oh, okay.
But it's like when she won that award, it's like there was just like a fire. She was just like, I'm fucking here.
This is it.
I remember like the first show afterwards, we did a Rise and Tie gig in Pearse Street, and she was on the bill, and I was like, oh my god, there's a different level past it. Like there was a level that got her to win the All-Ireland, but there's another fucking level on top of that as well.
Yeah.
And she's just from strength to strength to strength. Now she's gone to Slovakia to represent Ireland in the next Euros.
Brilliant. What a performer.
She's unreal.
What a performer. Yeah, like you said, powerful is that's all you can use as a way to describe her. Just a really powerful person.
Very, very powerful. And she was a singer like Lizzy. She was a singer as well, into music and stuff like that, and started writing poetry. So you can tell that there's
a lyrical way of
She has that musician's ear that she can write really good poems. But she sent me on this poem. This is the first time actually reading it, and I saved it for this because I wanted to be surprised.
I assume I haven't heard it either.
Yeah. So this poem is called Droaicht. Droaicht is another word I found out. I love listening to. This is an Irish word, obviously. Droaicht is the Irish word for magic.
Droaicht.
Yeah. So this is Droaicht by Anna Doran, Anna D. People say I have inspired them. They see the book of their life, the edges all torn, when they see me perform. They hear the secrets their soul whispers, the promises sworn, when my words give them form. And so, I am but a conduit of their unmined inner well, and I've opened myself to what stories need telling. See, I go to Loch Crew, and I've visions of you, and you, and you, and all the ancestors who you once were. They gift me a message. If I don't address it, someone else will. Call it imbas, call it ashling, call it once, call it twice, call it collective consciousness, or call it zeitgeist. Call it yourself, or be called to it by me. For dreams are private myths, and myths but public dreams. And they're out there for free. So go grab them, fuck's sake. They are there in the ether, for you all to take. Go and listen to the hills, rivers and streams, for those gods all have stories. They have ways and means to not just teach, but liberate and redeem. So if this does inspire you, then let it be known that not one of these words I may claim as my own. For if you believe in nothing, you feel this in your heart, then I'm just shining a light on your God through my art, and you're the inspiration that you are hearing as I speak. I am but a mirror of your Anam's inner Droaicht. So let it wash over you, let it rise, let it swell, and you'll too soon hear stories that you need to tell. For I am but a conduit of your untapped inner well.
That was Droaicht by Anna D.
Fucking good, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it fucking good?
As I said, I hadn't read that before. Even I was reading that live. Like, I was reading that for the first time.
I even said this morning, I was watching an episode of the show Mortimer and Whitehouse Goes Fishing.
Right.
Have you ever seen this show?
No.
It's two comedians who go into nature and they spend time with each other and they go fishing in beautiful parts of the UK. And I was watching going, jeez, I need to get out more into nature, because I'm locked in these, like, you know, weeks of just like working away.
Yeah.
And you never squeeze in time feeling like the nature and getting inspired by not just words like Anna say, but like just being out fucking side. And like that poem kind of hit home to me, like, right, yeah, grand, we need to be inspired by the words of people, but also your brain, something unlocks in your brain when you are in the fields, the forests, where the like visceral, natural entities are hitting your skin. Something fucking happens. Like, that's why writing retreats are so good, when you can go walking into the hills.
There's a word for it. So do you ever get when you're in nature and you look at a view and you go, fuck me? Or like you see a mountain in the distance and you're like, Jesus, like it's something hits you. Yeah. It's called the sublime.
It's called the sublime.
You're experiencing the sublime. So an example of this would be, say, with the Romantics. Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein, wrote a poem called Mont Blanc, and it's about in Switzerland there's a massive mountain called Mont Blanc, and it's actually it's part of the novel. This Mont Blanc is mentioned in the novel Frankenstein, but it's like the sublime is like that moment when nature, you realize how small you are and how mighty nature is. And also, like, it ties into Caoimhe's poem about the storm. Yeah. And it's like the storm is within you, but then you can't fight the storm. You can't fight nature. Nature always fucking reclaims itself and it'll fight back. But nature is so important. We obviously, as human beings, we did once dwell in nature. And I think it's so unnatural for us to be in this environment where we have central heating and we're in this cozy environment. I think that's why people go do sea swimming. People are like, why are they doing fucking sea swimming? Why are they out doing things like that? Because you're going back into nature, and like, you step into a bit of cold water, you are humbled very quickly. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Your flute shrivels back inside you. And you are rattling in about 30 seconds. You know, your manhood's gone in 30 seconds of being in cold water. So it's like, it's humbling. It's reconnecting with nature and showing you that sublime of like being in nature and going, fuck me, because it's just very humbling.
Yeah. Or even like being really fucking high up, hiking up a mountain. Like that, obviously, like these are all lockdown pursuits, and I think since lockdown ended, creativity's happened. So a lot of people are doing amazing things, but also maybe we feel like, oh, I'm not going for the walk that we used to do, or the sea swim. There's fuck all else on. But having a touch of those elements and those perspectives, like I've been on top of a fucking mountain and looked down and have no concept of like how far it would take you to get down there. Yeah, like it's incredible.
And then even like looking at a mountain and going in the distance, going, I'm not going to fucking climb that. And then you do it, and you're like,
what?
That's what birds say.
Yeah, that's what you think.
That's why crows are humble, because they're fucking
the humble crow.
Do you know the way a crow, right? Flock of crows called what?
Go on. Sorry.
A flock of crows is called a murder.
A murder. Sorry.
Do you know what a flock of ravens is called?
No.
A conspiracy.
It's actually called a conspiracy
of ravens. How fucking
mad. What?
Evil it sounds. A conspiracy of ravens. Yeah, they're conspiring. And they look like they're conspiring. They're fucking plotting against you.
A conspiracy of ravens.
Conspiracy of ravens. And then, I don't know, shite bag conglomerate of seagulls.
Yeah. A shite bag of seagulls.
A shite bag of seagulls, yeah.
I wanted to end the show with this poem, mate. And it was sent to me by the missus, and it's from a poet called Wendy Cope. I actually don't know much about her work.
Yeah.
Now, the reason she sent me this poem is because I have a nan that isn't well at the moment. I'm going to share that with you. I was actually back in England because of that. So I went to visit her in hospital. And she's 88. Turns 89 today, actually. I think if you listen to this on the Monday, she's 89 today.
Wow.
So happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
And for the first time, I'd ever seen her full name written down.
Really?
Yeah. Because why would you? Yeah. I'd never see my own nan's name written down. And it was above her hospital bed.
Yeah.
And I was like, and it was like written in fucking, like a whiteboard above, and someone scribbled it down.
Scrawled it.
Couldn't even see it, but I could see it. I was like, wow, I've never seen that name written down. And I like this poem because it kind of, it's the journey of a woman's name being altered and changed from maybe nicknames and then moms. And I was like, listen, the poem will make more sense of it than I can. And I guess that's why I liked it. It's like poetry can explain things that you haven't yet been able to articulate. Talked about that previously. So this is the poem, pal. I'm going to end it on this. So this is the poem Names by Wendy Cope. She was Eliza for a few weeks when she was a baby. Eliza Lily. Soon it changed to Lil. Later, she was Miss Stewart in the baker's shop, and then my love, my darling mother. Widowed at 30, she went back to work as Mrs. Hand. Her daughter grew up, married, and gave birth. Now she was Nana. Everybody calls me Nana, she would say to visitors. And so they did. Friends, tradesmen, the doctor. In the geriatric ward, they used the patients' Christian names. Lil, we said, or Nana, but it wasn't in her file. And for those last bewildered weeks, she was Eliza once again.